group rude and discourteous hearing, because the board was unable to reach the standard to move forward into a public hearing on those complaints, but they still acknowledged that there was something that just didn't set right with the individual, and wanted to give them the opportunity to share that with the board personally and to share it also with the public. The individuals for this group were notified of this hearing, today being the day, Tuesday, September 23rd at 6 o'clock here in the City County Building in 5th floor City Council chambers, the appointed time and location of this public hearing. They were notified by letter, email, texts, and phone calls. They were followed up with texts and emails. And I believe additionally some phone calls were placed to remind them of this opportunity. We have 7 individuals who are identified and wanted to come and speak to you. Perhaps some will be online. And we do have one of those individuals present in chambers tonight. Public notice of this hearing was also provided. It ran in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette from September 11th through September 16th. The Pittsburgh Courier from September 10th through the 16th of September, and was introduced to social media on September the 8th. So there was adequate, at least as required, public notice given of this hearing. The standard that we're looking at and what has brought us to ponder the notion of conduct toward the public and how it has been sometimes not quite as we expect is stated as such in the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police Manual. The standard is 3.7, conduct toward the public. The Bureau recognizes that a solid working relationship between our members and the community is vital to the cooperation that will ensure that we can accomplish our mission and that the community can maintain the highest level of trust in the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police. In the performance of his or her duties, a Pittsburgh Bureau of Police member or employee shall be professional, polite, and civil. Members will maintain decorum and command of temper and refrain from the inappropriate use of harsh, coarse, profane, or uncivil language. In the performance of his or her duties, a Pittsburgh Bureau of Police member or employee will not use negative ethnic designations, insults, or other derogatory terms at any time when addressing any person or in any communication. When on duty or identifiable as a member of the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police, employees are not permitted to make any statements or speeches, whether in the public sphere, the traditional media, or on social media, that may be deemed to be unlawful, obscene, defamatory, or would tend to destroy the respect or diminish confidence in the operations of the Bureau of Police. The final element in this order: when requested by any person, a member will give his or her name and badge number in a courteous manner. That is the standard against which these individuals who have come to you tonight feel that officers fell short of meeting. And I believe, Madam Chair, that suffices for public notice and the description of the standard and the notifications that were provided for this hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Pittenger. We will proceed with the registered speakers and then open comment up to anyone in the chambers or attending remotely. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to present your experience or comment to the board. Anybody wishing to give testimony tonight, please stand and raise your right hand and I will administer the oath. Do you affirm that the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. So, Mr. Brohinsky, please present.
Okay. Well, first off, thank you for providing me this opportunity to speak to you. I'm going to speak about a situation that happened last summer, back on August 29th. Little story. My son was riding an electric bike down Brookline Boulevard, and you come down to the bottom, there's another road, Brining, that is a T to it. So that's the intersection. He was coming down the hill. This car was at a stop sign, pulled out in front of him. He hit that car on his electric bike, flipped over, and severed his foot. Um, so there was a car parked illegally on the side of the road at that intersection. And I noticed it there for a long time, all summer long, but I didn't dawn on me the severity of the situation until this accident happened. So after the accident, this car continued to park there in this intersection. So I had called the police department and asked about how do I report this? They said, call 911 when you see it. So I called 911 at like 4 in the afternoon on September 4th. And later on that evening, it was about 8:30, I was driving by again. I seen that car was still parked there. And I noticed a gentleman pulling into the driveway. So I told him, I stopped and asked him, I said, if he knew whose car it was. He did. He said it was his. And I said, well, I don't know if you know the laws in Pittsburgh, but you're not allowed to park here. He's like, oh, I know the laws. I'm a state trooper and I'm allowed to park here. I've talked to the police department. They told me I'm allowed to park here. So we discussed a little bit and it got a little heated, and then he threatened me and told me, I better get out of there before he kicks my ass. So I said, well, I'm going to call the police again. So I called the police. They showed up this time, waited for him. And when the officer arrived, I asked him about this car. I said, it's been parked here. I called before. And he's like, well, yeah, I was here. I'm like, oh, so you wrote him a ticket or something? He's like, no. I said, well, why not? He's like, well, he's parked in front of his own house. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me, parked in front of your own house, that makes anything legal. The biggest problem was there's 6 violations, any one of which, they could ask this guy to move his car. One was it's not 15 feet from a fire hydrant. It wasn't 30 feet from the stop sign. It wasn't 20 feet from the crosswalk. He was parked on a yellow curb on the sidewalk. And there's a telephone pole right in front of the car with a no parking sign on it. So 6 violations. And he, didn't give him a ticket or anything. So, and he started to walk away from him. I'm like, what about him threatening to kick my ass? He's like, well, you shouldn't be up here bothering him. And I'm like, me bothering him, he's committing a crime. He's getting special treatment because he's a police officer. I can see people getting a break. I'm all for that because I don't mind getting a warning instead of citation myself. But when I called at 4, nothing happened. I called at 8:30, nothing happened. The next morning at 7, I was on my way to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I had to call again. So the mistrust that's leading me to believe it's in this police department. Is that how can somebody, I don't know of any laws or rules that, you're allowed to commit crimes because you're in front of your house, for one, and special treatment for another police officer, whereas the rest of the community doesn't get that. It just irritates me that, that kind of thing is happening, and that it's just not fair across the board. It's special treatment from the police department. So,
Thank you very much. We got to 3 minutes.
thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
So did you grab any pictures of that?
I did. Yes, I did. I sent them. I didn't bring them with me, but when I sent my complaint in, I sent 7 timestamp pictures along with the complaint showing the car at the times that I talked about. I took pictures to prove it too. So, and I also took pictures of the car on other occasions that weren't part of this to show that it was still parking there on various days throughout a time period longer than just the 1 or 2 days that we're talking about.
And those pictures along with your complaint, was that to the CPRB or was it to? Forgot
Nicole. Yeah, I
Okay.
sent, when I did
Okay.
the complaint, I sent them in with the complaint. And I do probably, I have them on my phone somewhere if you'd like to, pull them up somewhere. Yeah, okay.
Yep, okay.
Thank you. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, we have a question.
I'm sorry?
Maybe I missed it. How did that incident resolve? Like, how did it end that day? Like, did you just leave and everyone left, or?
Yeah, that evening I left, and the next morning I called and reported it, and that was the last I heard of it, other than my filing a complaint. I have not had any interaction with the police department or any kind of follow-up from them to ask what the situation was.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
One question,
Sure.
is the car still there?
No, the car is not there. I believe that gentleman moved.
Okay.
So, and just to follow up, there was, after that incident, there was one other car that parked there, but it was the middle of winter and the snow is kind of heavy and stuff. So I let it go for a week or two, but it still sat there. And then I called on that car, and just at one time it was gone after that, and haven't had a situation since.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, some presenters may have come in. Did some presenters come in? All right, could you stand so I could give you the oath and then we can have you come up? Do you affirm that the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And is your last name Kazi? Okay, please come forward.
Mr. Causey's here.
Oh. Okay, sorry, Kazi. I'll repeat it once again then, okay? That you could take the oath and then you could come up and speak.
Did.
He did? Okay, cool. I couldn't see. These short people, I can't see over tall people.
It's okay. Good evening, everybody. So my incident was with the officer, I believe it was Tim Sherman, last October 10th. I run automotive, Kazi Automotive at down West Warrenton Avenue. I'm the owner and operator of the place. I've been having issues with theft and everything. Police have been, helpful in every way. But exactly after October 7th, which we all know what happened there, October 10th or 11th, I get a call from a neighbor. He says, cop with a motorcycle is towing your cars out of the lot. I'm like, why? He's like, I don't know. So I showed up there. Mr. Tim was there and he's like, is this all your cars? Like, yes. He's like, they're on the sidewalk. I said, no, they're not. They're on the street. But he's word against me, I guess. And he started towing the cars. And I said, I can move them. Just give me a minute. I get here at 10 o'clock. He didn't want to listen. He's like, no, I'm towing these cars. I'm like, those cars are stolen. I just got them. I cannot maneuver them because the ignition obviously is broken. You cannot steer a car with a broken ignition. He didn't want to listen to that. So I just let him. I parked my car. He's like, is that your car? I was like, yeah, that's my car. He retaliated on that too. So he ended up giving me 5 tickets, including my car. And then he started proceeding. I was okay with it because I was just going to fight it in court. And he proceeded to say that I have stolen cars inside my fence. I have a fence with, if you walk, you can see the cars, the license plates, everything. He says, this car, that car is stolen. I was like, how do you know? He's like, the plates are bad. I was like, how do you know? He says, well, you should know this. I says, how do I know the plates are bad? People are bringing me a car for repair. I'm not a cop. I can't run VIN. I'm not PennDOT. He's like, well, you're lucky I didn't call PennDOT on you. I was like, I'm not scared. Call PennDOT. PennDOT always comes here. They always audit my place. I never had issues within the last 7 years. And he started going on and on and on. He started to get irritated. And I'm like, can we just talk? Don't tow my cars. I can pay McGann Chester the drop-off fee so I don't have to deal with the customers and everything. He's like, no, all the cars are going to be towed and da-da-da. So he was just, I felt like he kind of retaliated in a way right after October 7th. He showed up there. I never seen him before. He dropped out of nowhere and he just started going on and on and on and on. He didn't want to listen. I was very nice. Luckily, I have a video on my phone that I took. I put my phone in, started recording. I did call the investigators, like the board. A lot of people were helpful, and I'm pretty sure they looked at the body cam and they saw exactly what's happening. He was making threats. And I did call them and I said, I really want him to call PennDOT and I want to be there and I want him to be there to prove to him that those cars are not stolen. Those plates are not bad. He's like, no, you're a garage. You should have a system to run plates. So here I am today asking the city to give me a system to run plates because he opened up his mouth and he said that he knows the law better than I do, which might be true, which might not. But he did say that I can have a system that I can run plates. So if a customer comes into the shop, I can just type in his plate and it shows up if his plate is good or not. I never heard such a thing. And I did call the police and they says there is no such a thing. So I just want to see the contradiction here, like who's right and who's wrong. And basically that's my complaint. I'm still waiting for him to come and apologize for the allegations he made in front of my customers and people that were waiting while he was screaming on the street, that car, this car. Most of them were from Virginia, so he can't even run PA, let alone Virginia. So he wanted me to have a system to run every state, I guess, plate before it gets into the shop. So that's my bad experience with Tim Sherman. He never apologized for his actions, even though I don't know, I think he was being asked, but he never really said anything. And I just want to say thank you very much. And the police department have been really helpful at Zone 3. Never had issues. We always work together. Anytime anything happens, they always come and ask. If somebody said there is something stolen, they would always come check the VIN numbers on the car. There's never been a theft. There's never been a car there that was like stolen or taken apart or anything. Anything that happens, you ask for a video or something. I'm always helpful. I never like rejected anything. So the relationship is good, except this thing that happened October 11, which we all know October last year was not a good month. So just trying to put my story out there, and that's about it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Members have questions?
Do you know why he was there? What, did he ever say why?
I've never seen him before. He dropped out of nowhere.
So he didn't say it was 911 call
Nope.
or
He showed up with a motorcycle in there, and he's there.
one complaint? He didn't say.
He was not the person that you can have a conversation with. He was very irritated, agitated. Like I'm walking to him, he walks away. I'm like, I'm done. And I end up paying $500 for ticket. He was in court. The judge himself, he's like, okay, I don't want to hear about it. You're guilty. And I just left. So that's about it. That was it.
Yeah,
So,
I am familiar with your place.
yeah. So,
Thank you.
all right. Thank you very much.
Mr. Johnson? Weiss, the last name? Online? All right. You want to put her through?
Hello? Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi.
Minutes. Let me give you the oath before we begin. Do you affirm that the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may begin.
So I just wanted to bring it to attention somebody. I had an incident at the end of July. I was at a grocery store and I left my phone with my credit cards and money in the shopping cart. Within minutes, I realized I left it, came back in, talked with security at the grocery store, called 911. They said they were dispatching an officer. I waited for the officer to come. I saw the officer pull up. I assumed, and that was my mistake, I assumed he was the one that was dispatched. I approached the officer, told him my name, told him the situation that was going on. And the response I got from the officer was, whoa, 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 I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know anything about this and I can't help you. I proceeded to tell him that what the situation was. I apologized that I thought he was the officer and he wasn't. So I apologized for that. I proceeded to tell him what was going on. I proceeded to tell him that the people that they caught on camera with my phone and everything was still in the store, that they were monitoring them. And I said, can you help me until the other officers arrive? Once again, he told me no, that there was nothing he could do. That just because I called 911 and they said there was an officer dispatched, they don't tell all the officers what's going on. So he had no idea and there was nothing he could do to help me. As I returned to the security from the grocery store, we were standing outside. I was waiting for the next officer to arrive. We saw the two people that they had on camera taking my phone, leaving the store. I went to approach the officer again. He was no longer in his car, but he was in the grocery store. I found him in the grocery store. He was standing there scratching off lottery tickets and drinking coffee. And I approached him once again and said, can you please help me? They are leaving. Can you please do something? And once again, he told me there was nothing he could do, that he couldn't help me, and he didn't understand what I was expecting of him. I blatantly told him I expected him to do his job, to help. He chose not to. So lo and behold, the suspects ended up getting away. The other officers did arrive. They were fantastic, took my statements. They're helping me with everything. But I just found it was very upsetting to, go to an officer and ask them for help and have them stand there and blatantly tell me that there is nothing they can do and walk away from me. That was hard to take. So I just wanted to bring it to somebody's attention and let somebody know that this is not building a good relationship with the public. He was more concerned about scratching off lottery tickets and drinking coffee than he was helping me. And if he would have chosen to help, he could have caught the people before they left. Things wouldn't have escalated to where they are. Right now I have a detective that's working on it. They've found the suspects and we're going to court at the end of the month. So, but he could have helped litigate that so it wouldn't have gotten to that. So I just wanted someone to know about that.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
This is a newly filed complaint. The complainant you just heard from, you have not dealt with that complaint yet. It's newly filed.
Okay. So it'll be coming to us. Okay. Were you able to hear that, Ms. Weiss?
Yes, I was. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Well, we may be, we shouldn't be taking any questions because if it comes to us, then we will have you come in and appear. Okay?
That's fine.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Elena, is Elena on? Not online? All right. Chris Fetty or Jane Boyer? Did we have anybody sign in that wanted to speak?
Mr. Bohinski is the only one who signed in. I believe we do have someone else who wanted to.
Okay. Once this is done, then we'll do the person online. Thank you.
Quick question. Which case is this for? Because I made 2 different complaints and I don't know which one this is about. It's with the same exact people. It makes no difference.
Whichever one you choose, or if you could do them quickly, you could get 2 in 1.5 minutes.
Okay. Well, to say, I have, can I say their names publicly?
Please do.
Detective Daniel Zettner, Garrett Spory, Anthony Burke, Joseph Lippert, Joseph Fabus, Matt Tracy, and Anthony Soretti, are all individuals I've encountered in one scenario that kind of, in a sense, dealt with my brother, but it ended up somehow I was the beginning of the entire thing. These guys pretty much violated my rights, and I practically proved it in court. And even though the case got dismissed on a technicality on that was on my end where I didn't say something specific, I proved in court and on transcript that I got from other hearings that was dealing with my brothers, them pretty much perjurizing themselves, from the warrants to practically their interaction with me. They lied on the warrant saying it was a traffic stop. In court, in federal court, they said it was a federal stop. So everything, their story just couldn't stay consistent. I will say this. This is nothing personal towards anybody here. These guys got to be brought to justice. These are corrupt individuals. And my stepfather's a cop. And he literally said to me once that one bad cop is one too many. And these guys are a gang of them. And they actually drove past my house trying to intimidate me. I went to the headquarters to confront them myself because I don't play the games of intimidation at all, especially while my son's home. And this is, like I said, this is nothing personal towards any of you up here. I understand the limit of power that you have, and you don't have the power to exact true change, which I would employ you talking to the mayor or something about being able to get the things that you need to do your investigations thoroughly and being able to actually come to a decision on something. I've watched your investigators go through the rings because the officers just gave them a runaround about paperwork and a whole bunch of other stuff. Like I said, this is nothing personal. I just really want you guys to know that you need more power to exact true change, especially for the community when it comes to these officers violating people's rights, and then they're still walking around doing it to whoever else they want to do it to because no one's checking them. Unfortunately, I was one of the few people that took them to court for the city and was checking them on everything that they said and the lies that they told. And their lawyers couldn't combat me. They had to turn around and put 3 new lawyers against me because I was fighting the case myself because I'm a writer. So they never had to experience someone that just was smart enough to handle it himself. And like I said, I'm confused. It's happened so later to have this conversation, but to me personally, all I'm asking for is justice. All I'm asking for is, this to be thoroughly looked at, and for you guys to see that there's people out here that if you want the community to trust y'all's decision in anything that you're making, you got to first weed out the individuals that's messing up the community and trying to mess up what you're trying to build, especially when it comes to the police and the community itself. And like I said, my stepfather's a cop, so I know I've met great cops, and these guys were a group of thugs. They were. Unfortunately, like I said, I wasn't one of those people that they could intimidate where I was afraid of them, and I've made it very clear to them multiple times. So that's
Thank you.
pretty much all I gotta say.
Thank you.
Could you state your name and your neighborhood?
Oh, sorry. I'm Rondell Franklin. I am a published author, writer, produce movies sometimes, and father mainly. And I live in Mount Washington, so in that community.
Thank you. Questions? Okay, thanks again. Okay, the person online is? Sorry? Okay, thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Matthew King.
What I'd like to do is to have you raise your right hand. And do you affirm that the testimony that you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please begin.
Okay. Good evening, members of the board, neighbors, and community leaders. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak tonight. I stand here because silence is no longer an option. If we want change, real change, then every voice and every story in this room matters. We all share the same goal, a community that is safe, fair, and just. But safety and justice don't appear on their own. They are built and by communities that demand accountability and refuse to look away when something is wrong. Every encounter between citizens and police carries weight. It can build trust or it can break it. And if we want reform, broken trust is something we cannot afford. I know this through lived experience. For more than a year, I fought hard, exhausting administrative remedies, battling with elected officials, police, and the district attorney's office. I was vindicated. But after that fight, I came across the same officers in the same judicial process. New charges have been filed against me. And I have to ask, what does it say about our system when truth is proven, yet the struggle continues, especially now with a mayoral election head in November, when accountability should be front and center. Each person's experience is personal. No two are alike. But when people are supported, listened to, when their pain is met with sympathy and empathy, that is powerful. That is how healing begins. But no single office or board can do this alone, even the Citizens Police Review Board. Change happens only when we stand up for one another and stand next to one another. And part of that commitment means showing up. Mark your calendars. Make time for the public hearings that are coming, whether later this year or as we move into 2026. Real accountability requires our presence and persistence. If we want compassion in policy, we must practice compassion. If we want accountability, we must demand it. Progress has never come from comfort. It has always come from people standing side by side, refusing to give up, until the system had no choice but to change. So let's stand for everyone. I filed my initial complaint in March of 2025. The incident occurred in October of 2029. I have not only used the administrative resources of the Citizens Police Review Board, but the Commission on Human Relations, the Office of Municipal Investigations, as well as the Citizens Police Review Board. And I'm on my way to the solicitor of the Inspector General for the state. When I tell you that Zone 6 and Zone 4 in the city of Pittsburgh is a dismantled and disrupted organization, I speak not only from the stories that I hear, but I speak from personal experience. I'm not only dealing closely with the commanders, but nothing's being done. I had a simple trespass that I was vindicated from, yet no formal charges of battery, false imprisonment were given to an officer who was acting under the color of state law, who detained me, that I secured my own evidence. I subpoenaed my own 911 tapes, my own transcripts, and still I am met with silence from these community leaders. The Citizens Police Review Board has given me a voice and a platform, and I'm grateful for that. And it's given everyone in this room a voice as well. But stand up, because I am standing on the cusp of change, and I am going to change policy for everyone, not just myself. These other individuals that are in this room that just spoke, the policies and procedures and or training that needs to be, we'll just say, reviewed for the moment is
Excuse me,
just
your time's
one.
up. If you could wrap it up, would greatly appreciate it. Sorry, but
Absolutely.
it's 3 minutes.
That's
Go ahead.
okay.
ahead,
I would just say mark your calendars for the public hearings that are coming for the Commission on Human Relations and the Citizens Police Review Board, because I will not be standing there alone. I'm already coming to a judicial process with as many people as I can, and I hope that others will join and I can come in here and listen to your stories as well. Thank you for your
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? No. All right, thank you. Is there anybody in chambers that wants to speak? Okay, we're good. All righty. We'll open up to anybody online. Is there anybody? All righty. Thank you for sharing your stories with us tonight. Everyone finished speaking, so we will end this open hearing. Thank you. Hey, folks, do you need a break before we start the regular hearing, or just go? All righty. Call the meeting to order for the September 23rd Citizens Police Review Board meeting that started at 6 with a open hearing. I'm going to call this to order. Are there any members that, is Ms. Shields online? Okay, so we have one absent member. Need the approval of our April 22nd minutes of the meeting. I think we got that about a week or so ago. July. Oh, that's right, because we didn't have August. Summer's over, folks.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. All in favor or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The minutes have passed. So we'll give our reports, the chair report, the executive director's report. And we'll do, if there's any new business, we will introduce it but not deliberate. We will do our case review. And I'll make some announcements and we'll be going. Alrighty, I have no chair report. Ms. Pittenger?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, members. I only have two matters for you tonight. One, you have a copy of a proposed meeting calendar for the year 2026 in front of you. If there are no issues with that and you can just pro forma, really, consensus to adopt it, we could do that this month.
I'll take a vote when. Do we need to take a vote on this?
It's your preference. You can, certainly. There's nothing that deviates from the past. It is the usual fourth Tuesday of the month at 6 o'clock, except for August, which you do not meet. And November and December are combined to meet the first Tuesday of December at 6 o'clock. The locations are somewhat varied. I think it's 3 times to get around to neighborhood locations. And I think we're going to odd zones in 2026, which means 1, 3, and 5. So we would look for locations there. And otherwise, a meeting here in Chambers, and the rest would, particularly in winter, be remote. So access is safe and broader than coming into a public or into a location. But that's your choice. I mean, that's what we're proposing.
I mean, this is our standard, so I don't
Yes.
think it's necessary to take a vote. Does anybody feel? All right, we're good.
Is that an affirmative? Yes, we will adopt that calendar. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. And we will run that at the end of December so that it's publicly noticed for in advance of January, your January meeting. My other question to you has to do with our solicitor. You will recall that we had a multi-year contract with Mr. Ward. And upon his departure, he assigned that contract to Mr. Wright. That contract expires at December of this year. And so before us is a question as to whether to renew. We wouldn't be renewing. We would have to enter into a new contract with Mr. Wright, which is our recommendation, or however you want to handle that. It is a miscellaneous personnel service. It's a professional service contract. It's not for goods or services that are routine. It is a very intimate relationship you have with your lawyer. And so it has a particular process that is not as rigorous as bidding, et cetera. The annual cost to the board and to the city is $40,000 with a $5,000 reserve for expenses related to providing the solicitorship services to us. Typically, those are related to filings, to court filings, and we haven't had them in a while. So we pay the solicitor on a quarterly basis, basically as a retainer that has been approved by the city over the years. To process and have this accomplished so that it is effective for January 1st, we need to get moving on the paper. We have to obtain council's approval and authorization to enter into the contract. And then it has to go through the law department and the controller's office for its conformance to standards within the city.
We do have to take a vote on that.
Yeah, I think it would be wise to vote on
Yeah.
that.
So do I have a motion to accept our current solicitor to do a year? Would do this on an annual basis? Yeah.
We can do 1 year or we can do multiple years.
Okay.
The last time council was very amenable to that.
Mhm.
Instead of us coming back every year because we start again in September, October. So we're 9 months and we're back, 9
Yeah.
months and we're back. So whatever your preference, we can do 1 year, we can do 3 years, do
Members?
2 years, whatever.
Initial question is Solicitor Wright, was he open to multiple year? I know you're here.
He's here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah, absolutely. You know, my only thought to it is that, you know, I believe in a checks and balance. And so, you know, to make sure that there's an appropriate checks and balance on me and that everybody believes that, you know, I'm acting, you know, adequately and appropriately, then you may want to consider doing it year by year. If it's as simple as coming back and having the same document voted on as far as a contract goes, that may be in all of your best interest to check me every year to make sure that that you're satisfied and address if you're not satisfied any concerns. Otherwise, of course, you know, I'm very privileged to be in this position with all of you and you know, definitely amenable myself to multiple years. But I offer up my former comments to you because I think you should consider the checks and balances that you may want over the solicitorship.
Could there be a motion though, if we're gonna have discussion on this matter? I'm just asking on process, like if we're gonna add questions about she's bringing a matter, should we have a motion and second?
Motion
then
and,
discussion on it?
correct. Do I have a motion for, first of all, how many year contract? Multiple year? We've done what, 2? And we've done
We will be concluding a 3-year contract with
Okay.
our solicitor.
All right.
And I think what you're looking for is versus a motion to entertain entering into a contract with Mr. Wright
Mhm.
for a period of 1 or 3 years, whatever your preference, and then take up the issue of
All right. So do I have a motion
Make the motion.
for 3-year?
I make the motion for consideration for 1 or 3 years, because there may be discussion related to the terms. So my motion is, I make the motion for consideration of a 1 or 3 year contract to be extended to Mr. Wright. And then it'd be second, and then we can.
Thank you. All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
I think there's a couple questions as far as what if we want to amend the scope of work that a solicitor does. Also, I'm sure Mr. Wright is capable of being the current solicitor, but he was assigned to us, and there's a question as far as to open this up to possibly any other attorneys who may wish to be the solicitor.
I don't think he was assigned to us. I thought that you had vetted some folks.
And it was brought to you and you agreed and you extended that upon Mr. Ward's recommendation.
Yeah. So it wasn't.
It wasn't an assignment like
Again,
that,
I'm not saying he was just out of the blue assigned to us. I'm saying he was vetted by the previous solicitor, but it wasn't a natural.
Our executive director.
It wasn't an open process, you know, where there was an open process for other potential people who may wish to be the solicitor, as well as my question going back to the scope of work. If there was additional things that this board may want to add, where in this process would we put in or recommend that in the terms of the contract in order to meet the deadline of December?
Well, we probably got to move rather quickly because it's at least a 2 to 3 month process to get it fully vetted. So what questions, discussion questions would you like to?
Well, my concern is we're making a motion to enter into we're continuing the current contract. Is that what we're
There will
discussing?
be a new
today?
contract because the current contract expires at the end of December this year.
So
This is a new contract.
we're just considering just renewing it with Mr. Wright.
That's correct.
And then at a later meeting, we'll talk about the terms and the scope of work.
Well, we can do that, sure. I mean, I don't, when you say that, and I think Mr. Wright has a perspective on when you refer to the scope of work, that is perhaps different than what I, I confer with him often as we need to make sure that we're abiding what we're supposed to and staying inside the lines that we're supposed to be in. And when we go outside, that he can fix it. I don't know what you mean by what you would be expecting of your solicitor. I just don't. That's something I think that would probably benefit all of us for a discussion about that, or if you could just give an example of what you mean.
Mine is just open transparency as far as allowing other candidates who potentially want to be the solicitor, giving them an opportunity to apply since the contract's coming to the end. And if there's scope of work as far as what Mr. Wright actually does, who we may not understand the full scope because he interacts with you on a daily basis.
I
may not
thought,
necessarily-
yeah, I thought we had that discussion. I think you were on the board when we did the transition. And I thought we had discussion then, that a solicitor has, solicitor is a definition. Okay, they're to represent us in legal matters. So that is the scope of what they do. So a solicitor, whether you're a solicitor for this company, this department, that department, their main charge is to keep our nose clean in terms of law and to defend us when we are challenged or we challenge somebody else. So I'm not sure what you mean by particular questions.
I didn't get to finish my
I'm
thought.
sorry. I'm very sorry. Please do.
So forgive me, I'm under the weather. But those are my only two concerns of us not having adequate time at the moment to vote on something where we potentially are wanting to, at least myself, want to talk about the scope of work, as well as just having a process where other people may potentially be able to apply to become the solicitor for the CPRB. Again, this is nothing against Mr. Wright. He's a capable attorney. He's been doing the job fine, but just having an open process. That's all. Those are my only two concerns.
Okay. Others? Alrighty, I'm gonna call for the vote. All in favor of extending, well, first of all, we have to have a discussion about 1 or 3 years.
So for a matter of discussion, I think for the board's determination on which way we would extend 1 or 3, and it's been my experience that the solicitor in our engagement, when we have certain activity, really does keep the boundaries and make sure we work within the boundaries and permissions of the law so we don't run afoul. And there are times when the solicitor has more activity and when they have less. And I think the director said mostly that the fees are more like a retainer for such services that need to be rendered. And I think when you're saying scope of work, I think they become illuminated based on the things that we have to interact with. And we just have periods of time, based on my experience, where there is more activity and more engagement because we had subpoenas and this and that, and you see a different level of work tempo than we may be seeing currently. I think it might be wise, though, because the question is raised, that we do get a full understanding of what the expectations are for the solicitor, so that there are no questions moving forward. I don't have a particular question right now, but if a member of the board does have a question, then that should be satisfied for that board member. And given that fact, because of raising the question, I don't think it's beyond reasonable to say if we had a 1 year, because we have time constraints, and then we can navigate the questions that might come up about scope of work to add or to ask questions on whatever, and then move forward with an extended process. I have no question whatsoever about Mr. Wright's ability. I know with me interacting with solicitors on behalf of the board comes with the tempo of work that we have before us. And so I'd just rather move forward. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm sorry. I'd rather, to satisfy our time constraints, put something in place, but also honor the questions that are being raised by board members about understanding fully before we go into longer periods of time on contracting. Just for
Can I say
discussion.
one other thing? And the other thing is I don't have anything in writing, right? Normally when you present something to us, like the calendar, like I have something in writing as far as, the terms, whether it be for a year or et cetera, whatever your recommendation is, Executive Director Pittenger. That's also my reservations as far as voting on something that I don't know what I'm actually agreeing to without seeing the paperwork in front of me.
There is no paperwork to offer you other than the standard contract format with the city of Pittsburgh. And there is nothing articulated within that document other than legal obligations and the limitations for each party. City of Pittsburgh enters into that contract on your behalf, representing the interest of the Citizen Police Review Board as an independent unit, and that you are the solicitor, our solicitor's client. Our mission, you fulfill the mission. The solicitor makes sure that you're staying in those boundaries of the mission, but is not an activist member of the board, is strictly a legal advisor. And it is who you choose to be your solicitor, not who might want to be your solicitor. And that's the intimacy of that relationship between you and your lawyer, which has always been the basis upon which the city has authorized us to go forward the way we do without going through and approving the professional service contract, as opposed to going out for bids. It's not a biddable kind of a service. It's a very intimate relationship because you're going to be affected on how well you are represented and protected by that lawyer. And that's the role of a solicitor. Solicitor for this board has never, ever participated or initiated anything that was not initiated first and foremost by the board seeking advice on a particular matter. And that's what the solicitor typically provides. We have written advisories from our lawyers. We have a typical, I don't want to say like there's an arm's length distance, but there sort of is, because that objectivity that the lawyer has to maintain to protect you guys is different from what they have to maintain to be sure that our work is within bounds. But when we have trouble getting the work, like when there is an absence of political will, such as we have right now, then we are forced to engage that solicitor in a way of representing the interest of your mission to obtain through oftentimes litigation the information that your staff needs to provide you with a comprehensive summary of a case with recommendations. I don't know how else to explain.
Clarity, the solicitor's agreement is kind of a standard agreement, right, throughout the city.
Yeah.
We follow their format.
And that's all it is.
Yeah.
This is Alec, and I'm, sorry, I'm attended by Zoom. To the extent that anybody wants to have some type of special discussion, with me or ask questions, and everybody's amenable to that, and it's, special session or regular session and questions to me is never a problem, just so everybody's aware of that. And Mr. Davis, it's not a problem.
Yeah, again, Mr. Wright, I don't question your competency to do the job. My question as far as the procedural process of selecting whoever the solicitor would be at the end of the contract. And you got here by unique circumstances. I believe we can agree to that by the former solicitor moving on to better opportunities. But as far as the process, especially at the end of this contract, did we want to consider anybody else or who was interested in the position? And again, my other question was just as far as the terms of the scope of work. Let's say if a board member wanted to add something in addition, is that a possibility? And if so, what does that process look like? Or if it's not, just having that dialogue and conversation. But this is not anything against you, Mr. Wright. I want to make sure that's very clear.
You're not going to hurt my feelings. And it wasn't more or less of an interview or anything like that, Mr. Davis. I just meant, if you have questions about what it is that is going on, what happens and all that stuff, or anybody does. My only statement was, no problem in terms of the uniqueness of the way that I became the solicitor. Lawyers taking other jobs and assigning work and contracts through the terms of that contract, I don't think is unique. Maybe it hasn't happened in the past that a contract was assigned in the way that it was during the pendency of Attorney Ward's ending of his solicitorship through a new position. But in terms of uniqueness, I don't see that. But again, I extend to anybody that wants it, to the extent that everybody agrees to it, questions of what it is that we're doing and trying to accomplish, although we address those, in the monthly meetings anyway. What you see is, what you hear about is sort of, the where we are. What you don't, get to see is how the sausage is made most often, because that stuff is happening in those conversations as we make legal decisions.
I guess, considering the 1 or 3 years, and I recognize both of the sentiments there. I guess one part that I'm not aware of or I'm not familiar with is, has the board had time to, or have we ever needed to evaluate the solicitor? So if we did say 3 years, but for some reason an issue comes up, is there something that the board can do within that time frame, or are we stuck for 3 years with the solicitor?
There's a termination clause within it. And I think for the first time, yes, there is a termination clause. You can terminate through the term.
But then I would suggest a 3-year contract, just so we don't have to come back and do this again in September and in the following subsequent year.
And just to clarify, that wasn't our approach to council. That was council's suggestion.
Okay.
We didn't go and say, we'd like a 3-year contract. No, they said, wait a minute, can we do this for 3 years instead of every year? We said, yeah. And that's how it became a 3-year, multiple year contract.
Any other comments?
My only comment to that too, in respect to what Mr. Davis raised about board members can raise issues, but we wouldn't be able, I'm in the language which has been put out there, but like a board member can't try to move something forward. Like we're talking about, if a board member wanted to expand or talk about the scope, it could be brought here, but the board would have to have the discussion on that about expanding scope. So I just wanted the clarity out there that no one board member has the ability to do, we should be doing on a, we can raise it. We can raise these issues, like Mr. Wright said, we can bring them up, but it's the board that would make the determination, either by vote, to say we would want to explore this. So I just want to make sure that it's clear for those who might be listening about process if we bring this up. Any board member would be raising it, but it's the board and the total board who would making the decision whether or not we want to open up to either change the scope or have discussion on that. And then again, those are the matters that we take into special session to have those discussions, because I don't think they occur in these type of meetings anyway, if I'm not correct, when we're talking about those matters, right?
It would be a contract, and it would be acceptable to go to an executive session.
That's
for
what I
that.
thought, yeah.
Alrighty, so the original motion is to retain Alex for a 3-year term. Okay,
Up to
so
3 years might be safe.
up to 3, I'm sorry, up to 3 years. So that is the motion on the floor. All in favor? We did discuss it, so now I could take the vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
1 abstention.
And abstentions? One abstention.
Mr. Davis abstained.
Alrighty, you want to continue with your report?
That's all I have. That's it.
And that's it? Okay, thank you.
Well, you know what? Let me, we are close to filling both of our investigator positions. We are interviewing for one. We have a candidate going through background now for appointment. And we have one, we just finished today, interviews to fill the second vacancy, the second open investigator. So hopefully by the time we come together again in October, we'll have a full staff.
Okay, have we offered a position to someone recently?
Yes. And that individual is undergoing background now.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, Ms. Pittenger, what is a full complement of our investigators?
4 plus Michelle.
Okay.
5. And we look at our investigative unit is 5, with Michelle in the lead. We were able to add a position this year, in this year's.
I was going to say, we're growing.
I'm sorry?
We're growing.
Yeah, we're growing, yes. Yes, we are.
Alrighty, does anybody have any old business?
One quick question.
Sure.
Was it 2 meetings ago? It was 2 meetings ago. Remember the gentleman that was supposed to be pulling the data, but then he resigned.
He resigned.
The following meeting. Was there somebody that's following up on completing that task?
Yes. Yes. But there are a number of projects that were not where I felt they were now, especially in view of that experience, ready to present to you guys, to the board, that we're cleaning up, but with new personnel coming on board, we'll be able to do these things much more quickly.
Thank you.
Is there any new business that the members would like to bring to the table? Okay, hearing none, let's go to case reviews. Okay, we have no public hearings as of yet, although we did have one tonight, so we'll probably do one next year around this time. So we have full investigations. We have 5 of them. 161-25ED, 136-25ED, 127-25, 111-25ED, and they're on the back. 105-25 and 110-25. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. Discussion? All in favor indicate.
Sorry, I have a discussion on, sorry, on 11125 ED. Given the amount of attention that was given to that particular case, I want to make sure that, do we have any issues with getting body cam video for as many people who are on scene there, given some of the new things that we've navigated recently?
We are not receiving body cam video. We are not receiving incident reports. We are not receiving anything from this administration. Our discussion with the city solicitor, we had anticipated receiving a draft, or at least a proposed memorandum of understanding that solicitor indicated was being devised within the law department, and then going over the public safety department for them to review, because the public safety director is apparently willing to give us what we need, but none of that has come back to us. I have reached out to the city solicitor and not heard back. I don't believe our solicitor has heard either. We were both involved in, or in that list, in the email and the follow-up meetings, but we don't have anything, and we're not receiving anything.
Mr. Wright, is there anything that can force the issue that we could do as a body?
Not at the moment, Mr. Davis. I mean, really, it's dependent on, well, look, there's certain paths when we talk about this. There is a path that is sort of, the litigation path, which is, I think, what in most instances you want to avoid. And then there's a negotiation path. The negotiation path at this point is at the goodwill of the current administration. What the next administration will do will be a different question if we can't resolve it by then. But there's no leverage without, the former, which is the litigation. And so hopefully this works out in goodwill. I think, the way that things have been done in the past, everybody understands and appreciates the way that it should be done today and in the future. And I think that we will be able to resolve those issues. There is not a dispute in terms of resolution. The question is just getting everybody to the table to get there. And so far, aside from slow communications, there hasn't been any indication of an unwillingness to resolve this, so that we don't need litigation in order to get a court determination to force the issue. So we're hopeful that we're going to get a response and we're going to be able to resolve this in the way that we have been. It's just a question as to whether, without any dispute, the parties are all willing to do that.
Thank you.
Alrighty, any other questions about on 5? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We have one for a 30-day extension for full investigation, and that's number 110-25ED. Do I have a motion? Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We have 3 that are unfounded. Case number 134-25ED, case number 089-25ED, and case number 039-25. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. Second? Discussion?
Yes, can we discuss 134 25 ED? Just for the public's sake of why we're moving this to unfounded.
Edwards. Hunt.
Sorry, I wasn't sure I had the right one in mind. I believe that is an incident that occurred here in Chambers. There was a public display of, I don't remember the exact issue. I think it might have been around Juneteenth. About what? Stop the Violence Fund. I'm sorry, you're right. And at that time, there was discussion, there was a concern that somehow the Stop the Violence Fund was going to be eliminated, which was never really a proposal on the table. But there were a number of individuals who came to council chambers, maybe 70 or so, in opposition to anything that would negatively impact the Stop the Violence Fund. And in the course of that meeting, the Sergeant at Arms had called for backup to come to Chambers. I believe that in your summary, it describes that the call on the radio was heard by other law enforcement personnel, and they came to Chambers. And in the midst of all of this, there was a fire alarm went off. And that fire alarm, of course, required everybody to evacuate. The impression, or at least the controversial impression and concern was that it was an intentional purpose. It was done intentionally to separate the individuals to get everybody out of here, and that was done because the individuals here were predominantly African-American people protesting to stop the violence elimination. According to the Sergeant at Arms, there is a this rope line is intended to protect council members from people crossing that line. It's a boundary. People were encroaching and crossing that line. He wanted assistance so that he could keep order and make sure that everybody was safe. He didn't call for, the whole zone to come and back him up. But people, I guess, the other personnel that heard him call for the help, they all came in, so it looked different than what was intended. And then the question of whether or not the fire alarm was intentionally set to disperse people. From several sources, we were told the fire alarm went off because there were 10 pizzas stacked on a table in the conference room back in City Council, and that the heat rising from those pizzas is what set the alarm off. So that's their story. They're sticking to it. Nobody wavered from that story. But the credibility is not mine to say, but that's what our understanding of the situation is. There was no intentional action taken by the Sergeant at Arms to disperse African Americans from approaching city council about their concern being the Stop the Violence Fund.
Thank you. So the motion is, any more discussion? Motion on the table? Do I,
We made it.
oh, do we make, yeah, I'm sorry, we did. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Alrighty, we have 6 unsustainable cases, 133-25ED, 015-25, 027-25, 010-25, 124-24ED, and 061-25. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, take the vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We have 4 that are other that are just informational. So they will probably, if they weren't invited to this one, will probably be invited to the next hearing. No, or public hearing, sorry. Alrighty, I have a few announcements. And it's about our next regular meeting at 6 p.m. Tuesday on October 28th. And just to remember that it is by Zoom, the links are available. And board meetings will remain accessible to Zoom even if we meet in person. Alrighty. That ends our formal board meeting. So do I have a motion?
I signed up to talk.
I thought we did that before. I'm sorry, did anybody sign up for public speaking?
No, nobody signed up.
All right, thank you. We're clear now. Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you.